Hi, everybody, and welcome to this special episode of Prinsights Global from the Rick Rule Natural Resource Symposium 2025 in Boca Raton. And I am so thrilled to be here with my friend and super wonderful human and incredibly gifted business person, Rich Checkan, who is the president of Asset Strategies International. And we've had a fantastic relationship with Asset Strategies International and the entire team there. And Rich is one of that. Rich is also the person that connected me. Some of you may have seen this video and the trades that came from it to the Austrian vault people, the Austrian Mint people. And so I continue to get valuable relationships from your relationship. And I just want to personally thank you for that.
So happy to help.
So welcome, Rich, again. There's so much going on in the gold and silver space. Your booth here at the Real Symposium is like standing room in front of it, lines in front of it. So I wonder if you could tell me what the main themes are that you've been talking about with people here.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And obviously the thing on everybody's mind is, why aren't gold and silver moving up faster? Why are they taking a pause here? When will we see those two metals take off in price? And I still say what I said last year. We've got to get the retail investor into this marketplace, and that retail investor is not here yet. I know this for two reasons. The first one is the gold-silver ratio. So that's the number of ounces of silver it takes to buy an ounce of gold. When both gold and silver are moving up in price, silver is a smaller capitalized market, so it tends to move faster. And what makes both of them move is when retail investors are buying. Right now, what we have is just central bank buying. They don't buy silver. They don't buy mining stocks. They buy tier one gold. Okay. So that's why the GSR has been elevated for some time. It's gotten down now to about 90. It's still 10 points above what it ought to be at the start of a bull market. Okay. So it's clear to me that the retail investor is not in this market. That number will come down below 80, start working its way to 35 to 50 once investors are buying. Okay. The second thing that kind of jumps out at me is the premiums. So I've been doing this 30 years now, just getting started. And in that time, I've never seen premiums this low, right? So we all know that when everybody wants something, the price goes up, right? That's just supply and demand, economics 101. And right now, the premiums are tiny. Give you an example. 2015 August, I don't know if it was Grexit or Brexit, it was one of the exits going on. China's stock market collapsed, U.S. followed a couple days later. And in that time period, everybody was clamoring for silver. Junk silver, so 90% U.S. pre-65 quarters, dimes, and half dollars, was selling at a 60% premium to the silver price.
What?
Right before the 4th of July, we did a promotion to our readers. We were selling junk silver at spot, 60% below that, because I can buy it below spot. Is unheard of. Nobody is buying metal right now except the retail customers that I bring in when somebody is selling metal to me, because that's what investors are doing. And they're selling for a number of reasons.
It's really interesting because when people look at the gold price having risen, and now silver is starting to rise. In fact, year to date, silver is a little bit outperforming gold, and there's demand for it industrially. There's demand for gold from the standpoint of central banks, and we talk about that a lot here. Retail investors actually, when they even look at those gold stories, think they've missed the boat. And I think what you're saying is that the boat hasn't even gotten into dock yet.
I'm telling you, not even close. What's happening in this retail market is what Western investors are selling, right? They're selling for a bunch of reasons. We ask them, because we tell them here at all-time highs, just like I've said for the past 3 years, at all-time highs, gold is dirt cheap, silver is cheaper. Okay. I still believe that. Once the Western investor gets in, both metals will move up. They're not there yet. Western investors are selling. First reason, if they're getting up in years, they're selling to make their portfolios a little more manageable for their heirs. If they've passed away, their heirs are selling because they don't share the same belief in gold that their parents did. That's pretty common. Next reason is some profit taking, right? So, and I think it's premature, short-sighted, we're just getting started. Why would you sell here? But when you bought gold at $1,500 an ounce and now it's $3,300 an ounce, it's hard to talk them out of it when they're struggling in the middle class in America. When the stock market drops precipitously, and we've seen that a couple times this past year, gold and silver will sell off too, as people sell a liquid asset to meet a margin call for their leverage positions, right? But the number one reason, the fifth reason, the most common reason I get from my clients is I need to pay off credit card debt.
Interesting.
Now, my clients are well-heeled, successful folks. They're making good income, and yet they're living paycheck to paycheck. What does that tell you about our current economic climate?
No, it's very unstable, and I think that's one of the reasons people should actually be in gold and be in silver. But what's interesting about what you're saying is they need the cash.
Yes.
They are effectively using those metals, if they have access to them through family wealth or whatever it might be, to basically raise capital to pay off debt, which is interesting because in that process, prices are still moving up.
Yeah, they are. Slowly.
Yes.
Slowly. They'll move a lot more quickly when retail investors are buying. And they will. There's no question in my mind they will, but they're not there yet. And you know what I'm looking for. GSR down, premiums up.
Right. What do you think is going to actually encourage? Because again, the price is up. There's definitely momentum in these markets in precious metals. What do you think is going to need to happen for the Western? You talk about Western, right? What is Eastern doing that's different on Western? And what's it going to take for the Western investor to get really more invested?
Yeah. So central banks are buying. I think Asian retail is buying too. Okay. And the situation in China is not a great one economically. They have real estate issues, stock market issues, et cetera. So they've been buying gold already. We're not there yet. We're going to follow suit. We're going to get there. What I think needs to change is I think a lot of people, when President Trump was elected, they said, well, let's wait and see and look at these policies and see how they play out and see if he can rescue the economy, turn things back in, make America great again, whatever you want to say. Is that going to have an impact? So I wrote about this at the beginning of the year that I thought everybody was in a wait and see mode, and I thought it was going to take a couple quarters for us to see the impact of his policies. I think we just saw the impact of his policies. No change. We just passed the big, beautiful bill. Spending is going up, not down. That means they're going to have to finance it with monetary expansion. And that means everything of value in is going to go up in dollar terms. Gold, cup of coffee, college education, everything. So nothing has changed. I think once that sinks in, people start to realize it. Maybe by this fall, we should start to see a little bit more movement in the retail sector, I think.
No, that's really interesting because, again, on a price basis, it's outperformed. Gold and silver outperformed NVIDIA this year, right?
No question.
And so it's more a question of kind of this particular impact of what the cycle says.
Yeah, the retail investor has a big impact on these bull markets, and again, they're not in it yet. So central banks are propping this up. We're on pace to have our third or fourth straight year of 1,000 metric tons bought by central banks. It's absolutely mind-boggling from when they started these statistics. That's why it's up. Retail investors will have a bigger impact once they get going.
Right, and central banks aren't going to stop. So if they get into that curve, they're going to see that upside that central banks are pulling.
Yeah, it's funny. People say, well, central banks, they must know something. I'm like, yeah, they created the problem. So of course they know what the problem is, and they know what the solution is, which is tier one gold.
Yeah,
not dollars.
Absolutely. So before we wrap up, if you could just give some of the listeners and viewers out there advice on when to get in if they're thinking about it. Do they wait for this sort of realization to come in? Is now the time, and how to best position into gold and silver?
Yeah, no, that's a great question or a great point, and happy to share my thoughts. I don't know if I can give you advice. I don't think I'm allowed to, but I can certainly give you my opinion.
Insights.
I can give you my opinion, and I think it's well formed. I believe, even though we're at all-time highs, again, gold is dirt cheap, silver's cheaper. So if you believe that, yesterday was the best time to buy, today's the next best day.
Gotcha.
I don't think you go all in. I'm a firm believer in dollar cost averaging. So if you have an allocation set for your wealth insurance or for your for-profit metals, go ahead and start moving in. Dollar cost average, we never know what the price is going to be one day, 1 week from now, a month from now. So average in, start taking your position. And what that position is really depends on your comfort level. I'm a believer, I think you've heard me say this before, I believe in 10% of net worth in gold. That's a big number for Western investors, but I think it's important. in an environment where you think gold and silver can increase and there could be profit potential, like right now, I like another 10 to 15% of investable assets in gold and silver. I weight that to silver. I love the potential there. We just broke out of a 45-year cup and handle formation, one of the most bullish formations out there. We've broken out of it. The parameters of that formation suggest we're going to $90 to $100, and we're at 37. I don't know if that's going to happen. If we don't get there, I think we'll get there close. We may overshoot. But I think there's incredible potential in silver from a profit standpoint. And, I've given a talk here on how to manage that. But if anybody wants to reach out, I'm happy to share those thoughts on how to buy well and take profits all along the way so you don't ever care where the top is.
That's a fantastic strategy, and we'll put up links to your site. I know you have a tremendous amount of research that you put out to educate people about the market and how to participate, as well as providing them the ability to do that. So I want to thank you so much again, Rich Checkan, for all of your work with us and with me, and everything that you're doing to help educate and involve people in this space.
I appreciate that. It's my pleasure, and I'm so glad. We were 3 years ago, I believe it was, you and I met. And we were on the attendees cruise the first night or the second night, whatever it was. And you were kind of standing off on your own. I think people were too scared to talk to you because you are a brilliant mind. And they didn't know how to approach you, I guess, if they only knew how approachable you were. But I walked up with my wife. We got to know you a little bit. And I'm so glad I did, because we struck up a fantastic relationship. And thank you, Rick. And thank you, Nomi.
Thank you. And for those of you, because Rich just mentioned it, who are wondering what that cruise was about, that is something that happens on site here, in a boat, off of the Rick Rule Symposium every year. If you haven't been able to attend before, think about that for next year. But also, the Rule Symposium does provide all of the live stream content from this symposium online after the conference ends, and you can still purchase that. We will have a link down here in order to enable you to do that. Rich, thank you so much again for your time, and thanks to all of you in the Prinsights Global community and beyond for tuning in.